The average sale price of a Toronto home has gone up 3.4% in just the last 3 months and is now sitting at 1.121 million. Just for reference, that's 34,000 on every $1 million. Hello, everybody. It's Alex Drobin with Remax. I help people just like you buy and sell real estate in Toronto. If you get any value from this video whatsoever, please consider subscribing and give this video a like. Everything helps. If you're thinking about buying or selling, you can also click the link at the bottom of this video to set up a free call with me today. I'm doing a ton of listing appointments and a ton of buyer consultations over the last little while, and have a bunch of really nice properties coming to market within the next couple of months. So if you're interested, let me know. All right, let's just jump right into the numbers. The total residential transactions have dropped year over year. So there are 4.5% less total residential transactions in Ontario from March 2023 to March 2024. Last year, there were 6,868, now 6,560. Less transactions because there's more inventory. There are way more new listings, which I'll get into in a second. And people are taking their time purchasing properties. They're looking at significantly more places before they pick something to buy. But funny enough, the average selling price has gone up year over year by 1.3%. So like I mentioned off the top, the average selling price is 1.121 million, whereas last year was 1.107 million in March. So it's gone up 1.3% year over year, but it's gone up 3.4% from December of 2023. So from my personal experience being on the ground level, like I said in the last video, it seems like a lot of buyers are taking a bit more time to figure out exactly what they like. But then there are bidding wars and multiple offer situations on really nice, desirable properties. So people are still paying top dollar for those really desirable properties, whereas a lot of other inventory that needs work, for example, or if it's something in the condo market, is just sitting a little bit longer. So total transactions down, average selling prices up. Next stat, our total new listings have gone up 15.1% year over year. 15.1%. That's a big number. So last year in March, there were 11,394 total new listings. March of 2024, there are 13,120. A lot of these are in the condo market, which I'll get into in a second. And make sure to wait until the end of this video because I have a couple of stats about the condo market that might frighten people out there. I don't want to frighten you too much, but just wait until the end of the video to see a couple of these condo stats that might be a little alarming. Nevertheless, total new listings, 15.1% year over year. Just a lot more inventory. There are a lot of people that are choosing to sell their places right now that, like I mentioned before, we're waiting until the new year, until the spring market. That goes right into my next stat because the property days on market have also increased by 7.4% year over year. So now the average amount of time that a property will sit on the market before it sells is 29 days. Okay. Last year in March, it was 27 days. So a slight increase. Again, this is all really neighborhood specific and neighborhood dependent because if there's a really desirable property and it's in a really nice neighborhood or it's priced correctly, even if it's not in the greatest neighborhood, but decent neighborhood, priced correctly, the property will usually have an offer date situation on it and it will usually sell within the first 7 to 10 days. Again, having said that, it's all really dependent on where the property is, the status that it's in, the location of it, like I mentioned before, and how much work is necessary in the property. So a lot of factors involved, but property days on market has gone up 7.4%. It takes almost 30 days to sell a property in Toronto right now. And just to add to that, I'll give an example of an offer date situation for anybody's out there who's a little bit confused about the whole process with one of our listings. We have a listing, it's at 20 Dury Street. We listed it last week on Tuesday. It was listed for $989,000, and it has an offer date this Wednesday coming up. So this is what's called the marketing period. It's a week-long process where every agent will bring in their buyers, bring in their clients. We have 3 open houses, Thursday, Saturday, Sunday. And then the agents who expressed interest in the listing, whose clients expressed interest in the listing, will come with their best offer on Wednesday. So usually, like I said before, the average days on market is 29 days in the city of Toronto. But in this situation, it's a really desirable listing. I will be shocked if it doesn't sell on Tuesday, meaning that it'll only be on the market for 8 days. So there you go. That's an example of an offer date situation where a property is sold in 8 days as opposed to 29 days. And again, this is the whole city. So it's all really location and property dependent. Now let's get into the sales and average price of every major home type in Toronto. Starting off in the detached market. The average price of a detached home in Toronto in March of 2024 was 1,708,000, which is actually slightly up 0.4% year over year, but the number of sales has gone down by 2.1%. And that's just because there isn't as much inventory on the detached side, not as much desirable inventory on the detached side. But nevertheless, the price is still slightly up, sitting at 1.708 million. And let me tell you again, from personal experience, if anything is really desirable and it's a nice location and it's a good home, it will sell really quickly and it will get top dollar. And if you're thinking about selling, if you have a detached property and you're thinking of potentially downsizing, give me a call. Right now is a really good time to start looking into those options because a lot of people are looking at detached properties and it's one of the only asset classes that's like really erupting right now, including the semis. Again, very neighborhood dependent. Moving over to the semi-detached market, the average price of a semi-detached home in Toronto in March of 2024 is 1,300,000, which is up 3% year over year. And an even more staggering number is that there have been 10.4% more semi-detached sales in March of 2024 than there were in March of 2023. If you've listened to any of these video market updates, you know my opinion on the semi-detached market. I'll say it again. There were a lot of people that before these interest rate hikes qualified for like something in the mid to high ones that after these interest rate hikes are now qualifying for stuff in the low to mid ones, meaning that all of those buyers ended up coming down slightly on the price point. So 10.4% more sales year over year on the semi-detached side, and the price is up 3%. That's $30,000 on every million. You know, that's quite a difference year over year. The townhouse market. The average price of a Toronto townhome in March of 2024 is $999,771, just $29 away from a million. And this is actually up 2.7% year over year. And the number of sales is up 2.6% year over year as well. And same thing about the townhouse market. If you've watched any of these videos, I'm repeating myself a little bit, but anything that's between $900,000 and about $1.3 million is very hot right now because everybody who could afford places in like the mid to high ones have come down in price point a little bit and are now affording things, you know, up to 1.3. Whereas before they could afford, you know, up to 1.5, 1.6 in some cases. Again, everything is very situation dependent. And just remember, if it's under $1 million, you don't have to put down the full 20%. So the average price is $999,771, meaning that, you know, whoever buys that townhouse needs to put down roughly 10% of that purchase price as a down payment, as opposed to them putting down 20% if you're going over that $1 million mark. So that has a lot to do with it. People's buying power has come down. And in some cases, people don't want to spend that full 20% down when they can just use that for other things or use that for renovations and stuff like that. So townhouses are up 2.7%, average price just under $1 million, slightly, clearly. Now, the condo market is where it gets really interesting because there have been 15.5% less sales year over year from March of 2023 to March of 2024. 15.5% less sales. And the average price of a Toronto condo is $729,000. Okay. There are a couple of stats I can get into here, but basically the point is there are way more condos on the market. People are taking their time to buy condos, and a lot of them are just kind of sitting around. You know, a lot of people that bought these condos in 2020, 2021, even 2022 in some cases, thought they could rent them out for big money. And, you know, now that the interest rates have gone up, they're not able to sustain that. And in some cases are losing money month over month. A lot of people are cash flow negative on their condos right now. So a lot of people are putting them on the market, 15.5% less sales year over year. And they're kind of sitting around. Having said that, the price has only gone down 0.5%. And that brings me into my favorite and most interesting stat of this market update. And it's a little bit alarming if you're a condo owner because there are 46% more condo rental listings right now in March of 2024 than there were in March of 2023. What does this mean? A lot of those people that bought in 2020, 2021, 2022, like I mentioned, tried to sell their place, couldn't sell it, took it off the market, listed it for lease, couldn't get what they wanted, weren't able to cash flow, tried to sell again in some cases, couldn't do it, and now put it back on the market. So 46% more condo rentals on the market right now than there were last year. That's a staggering number. What does this mean? The rental market prices are going to come down. So the average rental rates are going to come down within the next, I don't know, few months. 46% more condos on the rental market just means that there's way more inventory out there and the rental market has to come down. The prices have to come down because of this. Are we going to see some fire sales on some condos? I don't know. Nobody does because I still see a lot of condos that are nicely prepped, that are, in good areas, sell really quickly. But, it seems like a lot of people are potentially taking losses on those if they've purchased them over the last couple of years because the market for condos has gone down. So that's my most interesting stat there. Not sure if I explained that the way I would if I was talking to you face to face, but nevertheless, that's a pretty significant stat. Oh, one quote I wanted to mention from the TREP president. Her name is Jennifer Pierce. And that quote is, "We've seen a gradual improvement in market conditions over the past quarter. More buyers have adjusted to the higher interest rate environment. At the same time, homeowners may be anticipating an improvement in market conditions in the spring, which helps explain the marked increase in new listings so far this year. Assuming we benefit from lower borrowing costs in the near future, sales will increase further, new listings will be absorbed, and tighter market conditions will push selling prices higher." Once again, that's TREP president Jennifer Pierce. And I'm seeing that firsthand. I have a lot of buyers right now that are looking and are very active, but they're not settling. We're not settling for something that's not almost perfect, So right now there are a lot of people that are in the market, but again are taking their time. And once these interest rates start dropping, potentially, no one knows anything, but if they do, I think there will be much more buyer activity. And yeah, so if you're thinking about buying, let me know as well. Give me a shout. I'll take you through a full buyer consultation and let you know how it works. And I have a bunch of really nice places coming within the next couple of months. So if you're interested in anything off market, give me a call and I'll help you every step of the way. All right, I have a little bonus segment for anybody who's stuck around this long. By the way, thank you so much for watching and listening. I really appreciate it. But I was sitting around and I was looking up historic Toronto real estate market stats because I'm a bit of a real estate nerd. And I went back to 1978. And the average price of a Toronto home in 1978 was $67,000. Let that soak in. The average price of a Toronto home in 1978 was $67,000. And then I started going up in 10-year increments just to see what was going on. And in 1988, the average price of a Toronto home was $229,000. That's 3.4 times the average price in 1978. In just 10 years, it went up 3.4 times to $229,000. Now, the next 10-year increment is interesting because in 1998, the average price of a Toronto home was $216,000. So it actually went down slightly. A lot of various market conditions within that 10-year period, but it's just so crazy to think that from 1978, to 1988, it went up by 3.4 times, and then it dropped slightly within that next 10-year period. So 1998 average price of a Toronto home is $216,000. Let's move on to 2008, where the average price is $379,000. And this is where it gets crazy interesting because from 2008 to 2018, the average price more than doubled and went up to $787,000 in 2018. And now, I just mentioned it before, but the average price of a Toronto home is $1.121 million. I just found these stats so interesting, and it literally went from $67,000, 3.4x, and then it doubled in price from 2008 to 2018. So there you go. That's your little extra segment. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for listening. I really appreciate it. If you've gotten any value from this whatsoever, please consider subscribing. Give this video a like. Send it to one of your friends. I would really appreciate it. And if you're looking to buy or sell, give me a call or send me a message. I'll help you every step of the way. Thank you.